Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Get Into It with Gila. I'm Gila Glassberg, your host, registered dietitian, and intuitive eating counselor. Today I have on Rachelle Heinemann. Rachelle, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm having you on for the second time, and I'm so
Yes,
excited to have you on again. And um, I'm just going to go right into our topic, okay?
I love it. Let's
Okay.
do it.
This is like, who's ever listening to this, it's going to be like DMC vibe because we're going to have a DMC about my life. Are you cool with that?
Oh, I'm cool with it as long as you're cool with it.
I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. I'm bringing the listener into our friendship for a minute because okay, here we go. I had a morning. I had a morning. And the whole time I was thinking, should I bring this up to Rachel before our podcast?
Ah.
Freudian slip, Freudian slip. Rachel's not my therapist. And because I don't know if I could go on in recording when I'm feeling this heavy yuck plech feeling.
hmm
And it's very clinical terms, but I just don't know. And I was like, Rachel's a therapist and she's my friend, and like maybe it would be cool to share what's going on, get it off my chest, record from like a very authentic place, but also like just not from an oversharing place because that's like very important to me. So I shared a little bit about it, before we started recording, but I had I've been having like a really hard time since the baby's born, and our babies are 6 days apart, and it's been really hard, really, really challenging. And she's Kanana, she's 7 months, and she's so cute, and it's like a blast in a way. Like Baruch Hashem, I had a girl after three boys, and I have my oldest is a girl, and like I just feel so happy like about the structure of my family, but I feel overwhelmed, really overwhelmed, and I know that's
Right.
normal, but
Of course you're feeling over. I mean, you have 5 kids. How in the world would you not be overwhelmed?
yeah, it feels like maybe I shouldn't feel so overwhelmed. People have more kids than me, or like my mom had 9 kids. How did she do it? Or like, when is it going to get easier? How long am I allowed to say that I'm postpartum? Even though, by the way, like my logical brain is like, or my my counseling hat is like, of course it's normal. You feel what you feel,
hmm
but like the other inner critic or whatever is like so loud that it's just hard. It's really hard to
Yeah.
manage with that voice in your
Yeah.
head that's so mean.
And we're the kind of people who like to be productive. We like to be organized. We like to be on top of things. We
Right.
like things to work seamlessly. And having kids, especially 5, just like that's the opposite of
Yeah.
all of that.
Right. And even like pinning down this time for the podcast was like a challenge, like a really big challenge. This person changed this person changed this. It was so dysregulating for me. And like it's the podcast is so important to me, I'm just like saying that. The podcast is so important to me because it's how I show up in the world. That's like it's different than Instagram. It's different than everything. It's like it's so authentically me,
Yeah.
but it's also so authentically my business. And like I'm sure you could relate to this that like my business is me and I am my business. So let's say like my business isn't doing as well as I want it to be, so I'm feeling down. But that's not a
100%.
healthy thing. That's not a healthy thing.
No, but it's also, I don't know how possible it is to completely separate the two.
Right. I think it's impossible.
Right. So when
It-
people say, oh, you have to
Maybe
separate your worth from your money, your business, etc.,
your
like
weight.
that's very nice, but
Yeah.
I just don't think that that's practical. You can try and separate it a
Right.
little bit and try
Right.
to not have like these big reactions and how your mood sort of follows that.
Yeah.
That's something we can try, but like I don't know, some of these pieces of advice are just completely ridiculous.
I'm getting so like spiritual here because I can't help myself. I mean, I can't help myself, but like I just went to this class, the Sota Adam class, which I've never really discussed on the podcast. Are you familiar with Sota Adam?
No.
Okay, so I'll share a little bit. I'll try to share a little bit, but like it's basically this woman, Rebbetzin Tukashinsky, and it's like I think it's 24-week class, and she runs it every year. There's foundation course, expansion two, and it's about like the inner working of a human. So it's like I would call
Hmm.
it a spiritual class, but it's really like a human class. I guess like somewhat psychology. It's Torah and psychology intertwined.
That's interesting.
It's really interesting. You might really like it. You might really, really like it. A lot of my intuitive eating clients are like, this goes hand in hand with intuitive eating. And it was hard for me to get on the bandwagon of taking the course because full disclosure, it's really expensive. It's like $700. But I have a really good friend who's like obsessed with this class, and I love this friend. So shout out to this friend who knows who I'm talking about if she's listening. And we're very like similar in like our depth and like talking about things and like trying to understand the world. And I had a very good client who I was very close with. Shout out to her if she's listening. I actually had a bunch of clients who told me about it, but like one specific who was like, it changed my whole world. I also have a little bit of a rule that's like if two people who I really know well and I trust well recommend something, I'm like very inclined to like explore it.
Hmm.
And last year I took the course. Now here's the deal. It's on the it's all recorded. It's on sorry. Some of the class is live, but you can't see her. It's only audio. And I'm a very visual
Oh,
person.
interesting.
Number one. Number two, you can't speed it up past 1.25, and I listen to things on 1.75.
Oh yeah, that 1.25 doesn't work unless they have a very fast voice.
She doesn't. The whole point of the class is Olam Ha'avaya versus Olam Ha'asiya, the world of being versus world of doing. She wants you to slow down and listen. That
Huh.
we're in a world that's obsessed with doing, and we don't know how to be,
That's true.
right?
Hmm.
So, okay, fast forward to all the things I'm trying to say. That there was a live event in Brooklyn on Tuesday night that I had to go to because number one, I had to see her. I can't relate to someone so well if I don't know what they look like and I don't see their mannerisms and you know what I mean? And like,
Hmm.
by
Yeah.
the way, side note, we relate to people through their physical body and we don't have to relate to them through their weight. Does that make sense? Because I feel like I'm always constantly saying like it's normal that you when you see someone you notice how they look because we live in a physical world, but you only notice for the first 2 seconds and then you notice how you're interacting with them and if you like them or not it has nothing to do with their weight or the way they look.
Yes.
I know. But anyways, I my week got derailed again, and the person I was supposed to go with, who I love dearly, didn't end up coming with me, and I was very uh triggered, anxious, looking for someone to go with. I didn't want to drive to Brooklyn by myself. I was in Brooklyn. It was in Borough Park. Okay, so it's like an hour plus from where I live. Anyways, I went. Everything worked out. Hashgacha pratis. I called my friend at 6:20. She wanted to come. We went. We made it. It was really beautiful. But the point is that the whole shear, the like, she spoke for like, I don't know, 3 hours. I'm not joking. The whole class was about having an unresolved problem in your life that you've tried to fix. So let's say we use the example of my business. So I won't get too into it because I do have a filter, but my business isn't where I want it to be. Whatever that means. I imagine it to be a different place. In 2026, when I started in 2018, I imagined by 2026, I'd be a millionaire. I have so many good ideas.
Okay. We have some work to do then.
I have so many good ideas and I have recipes and I have what else do I have? Millions of things. Tons, right? What else do I have? Why do I want to be a millionaire? That's another whole we spoke about money on the other one, by the way. I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah.
I'd be selling my recipes, my books, my courses. I like would be like the millionaire dietitian. Of course I would be, you know? Okay, so I'm not a millionaire, by the way, and it is 2026. So basically, take an unresolved problem and you put it in a box. And can you relate to the problem can it be unresolved? Can you stop trying to resolve it?
Hmm.
Because Hashem wants you to have an unresolved problem. And the more we can, the more the refuah comes. And all of chataim, chitz, sins, come from chit ha'egal, which was Hashem or Moshe telling Bnei Israel, I'm going to come after 40 days and 40 nights. And he didn't. And they made a cheshbon. It's 40 days and 40 nights. And our leader, our spiritual leader, is not here. Therefore, we're going to do the Chayta Ego, make the Ego. And how many Averos come from? I have a husband. My husband, Gila Glassberg, is that I'm going to be a millionaire by 2026 and my business is going to be a well-oiled machine. It's going to work on its own. I'm going to have people under me, dietitians and interns, and it's going to be perfect. And people are going to be flocking to me, and nobody's going to want to be on Ozempic. And no, Ozempic, nobody's going to be doing bariatric surgery. No one's going to be obsessed with a thin ideal anymore. Like in 2018, of course, but we've been doing, all of us dietitians, therapists out there are like with a hammer and nails working on the world, no? And
Totally.
no, that's my husband. That's not Hashem's husband. And even if you're not Jewish or not religious, listening to this, it's part of life, the control. And now I got very spiritual, but that was the whole class. Okay, for 3 hours, I listened to the same concept over and over and over again. But I'm telling you, it was very important for me to hear it. I needed to hear it. I still had a very triggering morning where things did not go my way and they were not according to my husband, and I was triggered off the wazoo. And that's why I needed to share this with you before we started recording.
I'm glad you did.
I need a minute to breathe.
Well, for those who are not watching, just listening, that's what's happening.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, I mean, it is really hard. So many of these things are based on our expectations. And when life doesn't meet our expectations, whether it's big things like our business or small things like our morning schedule, it's so, so hard. And especially as a mom who has like a bunch of little kids, your time is not really your own. I saw somewhere where someone said, one of these like, no excuses coaches that everybody has 24 hours. And then like the mom with like the
Ah, I
kids,
hate you. I hate that
with all due
person.
respect, we do not all have 24 hours. So there's just
Okay.
like
Okay.
you do not have the time, the energy, the capacity to invest in yourself and your business in the same way that you would if you didn't have so many other obligations and responsibilities. It's just not it does the math doesn't add up in terms of the time. And then we're not even talking about energy and things like that. So, of course, but it's kind of hard because we have these expectations in our mind and we still want them.
Right. I was actually just thinking, like, right before we started talking, that like all the things that I was going to share with you, and then all the things that I had just learned this week in the Soda Adam class, and like I was like, I have to just get rid of all my expectations, like nothing that I expect. And then I was like, wow, that is such black and white thinking. And I was just like trying to hug myself. Like, I understand, Gila, because we don't want to be in the gray. If I can't have expectations, my world is shaky and I need expectations. But
Mm-hmm.
many of them will not. This is the work of being a human. Many of my expectations that I'm trying to hold, because otherwise I can't function, right? We
Of
always say
course.
when the kids are on winter break, like the stability, the structure, they're just going crazy.
Yeah.
We need it. We humans need our schedule, our structure. Those people who don't have a structure do not function well.
No.
But then we also need the flexibility of someone's going to throw a monkey wrench in your plan, and you also have to be okay. I'm not okay. I cannot do both.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
Yeah.
hard to do both.
Yeah. It is really hard. I'm thinking about food in general. A lot of people who start their journey with intuitive eating or eating disorder recovery, and they're like, yeah, I want all this flexibility. And we're like, that's nice. And maybe you'll get that at the end or work
Yeah.
toward it.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, we need as much structure as we possibly can to sort of hold all of this together. And then we can try to introduce some flexibility and tolerate the anxiety, but only within the confines of some version of structure.
That's actually really interesting. That comes up a lot with intuitive eating, that somebody who has been dieting for a long time and they know what they're going to eat, or they think they know what they're going to eat, or they want to know what they're going to eat, and then we are working on trying to give them flexibility, and that like you don't have to eat the same thing every day to be healthy, and you can add a variety, and that's like I'm like blowing up in their face. Like, what do you mean? You have to tell me what to
Mm-hmm.
eat. And I get that. For some people, they really do need that in the beginning as we develop flexibility. But it just makes so much sense why I like dieting. For me, at least, it always goes back to intuitive eating and dieting because it's like that's my security. Like that's where I feel control. That's where I know what I'm gonna eat, and then you can't take that away from me. But like at the same time, we also like crave flexibility as humans. Like we crave autonomy. So like that middle ground is like it's so I don't know, it's painful for me at least, especially at this moment where I'm being extremely open and vulnerable, that it's hard. It's hard to
Yeah.
know like what's
It's
good.
definitely really uncomfortable. And sometimes, even if somebody has worked on the, tolerating the discomfort of the flexibility or the unknown, sometimes it just doesn't matter. Like too much is going on. And it's like,
Right,
well, this is not exactly what I meant. Or this is the thing that I'm having a hard time with.
right, right. Um, are you okay with us transitioning? Because I actually want to talk about like what we were talking about before in terms of confidence. Like I want to I want to hear what you have to offer in terms of body confidence because to be honest, I'm going to be totally honest, it's I'm having a really hard time in my own body and it's really hard and I understand my clients. So maybe we could go there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, part of what I've been working on is I guess I would say more of a bird's eye view. Like I've worked with so many people struggling with eating disorders over the years and noticing some common themes and what sort of comes up for, I don't want to say 100% of people, but like it feels pretty close,
Yeah.
is some version of confidence, whether it's self esteem or imposter syndrome. And a lot of times, especially when we're talking about eating disorders, I'm thinking about a specific person. So this is, I'll give the example. So we can call her Sarah, I don't whatever, not her name, obviously. She comes in and she has this terrible body image. Getting dressed is a disaster. She tries on everything in her closet, throws it on the bed. And then by the time she actually finds something to go to work, it's just, she's like really uncomfortable. Goes to work, is just like very self conscious. There's just like she wants to check herself in the mirror because she's like not really sure how she looks and she wants to make herself feel a little bit better, but also despises looking in the mirror because then she sees what's in the mirror. It's just a very uncomfortable experience across the board. And when I was working with this particular person, again, like this is something that has happened for so many people, we sort of discovered, I'm not even sure how, but just sort of like, oh, this is not just body image stuff. This is
Right.
all like general, how do I feel about
Yeah.
myself? And that it's so much bigger than how we feel about our bodies. It's about how we feel about ourselves and our level of confidence and how we show up in the world. And so part of like this, I don't want to say new venture, that sounds like too stark, but more of more of the way that I'm looking at things is this general understanding of how to build confidence. What does confidence mean to a specific person? How can we get you closer to a version that you feel more comfortable of yourself? Because when we keep it at just body image, we're keeping it so narrow.
I totally got that. And I can really, as a dietitian, that, I see a lot of themes in my clients. I'm actually working really hard on writing a book.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm saying it out loud because I'm working really, really, really hard at it. And
What's your book? Can we talk about it or
yeah, of
too
course we can talk about it.
jinxy?
So you, no, I'm like, let's pre-order. Like I've been working on it like crazy. Like I'm attached to it. Like when can I get to my computer to work on it? Like in the best way possible because
Oh,
I'm
that's the best kind of work. That's how I was with it. It was such a
yeah.
fun process.
You wrote a book?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, it's an interactive book, so it's more of a workbook. And
Okay.
I kept it short because I knew I could have gone on forever and I wanted to
Yeah.
just get to a point where it was done. But yeah, it's called Brave on Purpose and it's a workbook and it's done.
Okay, I can't wait to see it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna link it in the show notes. You the show.
Oh,
So,
yes, please.
okay. So basically, this is my book, okay? Anybody who's listening, it's a work. I'm not done. Obviously, I'm not done because you don't have it. But okay. Do you know the book? Maybe you should talk to someone by Lori Gottlieb.
Hmm.
Yep. I love that book for so many reasons, but I love the structure of the book. Lori Gottlieb is a therapist, and the book is about four different clients and her own story and how she weaves the story of her life with her clients' lives and how she so beautifully and eloquently talks about psychoeducation throughout the entire book. So I want to write a book as a dietitian and my clients' lives and my life and how I weave intuitive eating into every part of my life and into every part of my clients' lives. But as I continue to write, I see that my style is a little bit more like The Choice, like by
Hmm.
Edith Edgar something. The Choice and the Help, not The Help. I keep saying that, even though The Help is a great book. I don't mean The Help. I mean The Choice and the Gift. Um, and so I have so much to share about my life and my relationship with my mother and my relationship with myself and being my own mother. That's basically the
Oh,
gist.
that's so interesting.
And sharing without oversharing, again, is a very big important value of mine that I don't want to overshare about my life, my husband's life, my children's life, but my life is my life and how I'm trying to isolate myself without, because I respect my privacy. Like not everybody has to know everything about my life, but I think you could share without oversharing. Anyways, so I'm writing this book and I'm just like, because I'm just noticing these themes, right? Like many, many, many of my clients have been sexually abused. Many. When I think about it, I'm like, it's 80%. But like people are
Really
like, oh,
high
you're a
number.
dietitian. You work with people like who want to be skinny, right? And I'm like,
Hmm.
how do I change the name of my job? Please help me. Please help me. Should I
I
be like,
don't think you can.
it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so frustrated to feel so unseen and misunderstood. But why? Okay, I'm not a therapist, and I always say I'm not trained as a therapist. And I've spoken to Evelyn Tribbley about this in counseling. And I mean, like I've done one-on-one sessions with her, and I've done it with Jessica Setnick, and I've done it with many people. No, I'm not a therapist, but I am a counselor. Dietitians are trained to counsel people, and I counsel people all day, and I'm still a counselor, even though I'm not a therapist, right? Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. 100% for sure.
Okay, so then I'm like, should just go back to school and become a therapist at this point, and do both.
Oh, no, too many things. You're already doing a ton.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that. Good idea. Because I'm writing this book. But anyways, okay, so the theme. So what does that have to do with eating disorders and body image and really more disordered eating? I don't really work with people with eating disorders. I work with people with disordered eating because I have also a very strong belief system that someone with an active eating disorder usually has to be in a treatment center. Okay. Anyways, so that's me. That's my belief system. I just want to say that I do work with people with eating disorders, but I will only work with them if they're also working with an eating disorder therapist and they have a team. Otherwise, I do not feel like they're safe, and I've seen it too many times. Okay, back to here. So when somebody was sexually abused in their body, or maybe physically abused, I do see that as well. Um, their body's a very unsafe place.
Hmm.
Do you see this also? It's not just me.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole idea. And that's where symptoms come in to help defend against really scary feelings. I mean, usually this is happening when kids are really small and so they don't have this like full on capacity to regulate, et cetera. It's terrifying. I mean, that's where we see dissociation and eating disorder symptoms and, you know, wanting to numb 100%.
Okay, good. Thank you for saying that. It's so sad. I'm like sad right now. I'm sad. I'm in a very open state right now because of all the things we just spoke about. And I also just came from the gym where I was in like a 3 minute zen. So I'm very like, and also the soda adam, like I'm very like, I'm feeling all the feelings of somebody who's struggling with an eating disorder or disordered eating. It's so painful. And I am in so much pain. That's not funny, but I am in so much pain as a dietitian that people do not understand that this is what I do. This is, if you are struggling with disordered eating and you've been sexually abused, and you don't know why you can't, number one, A, feed yourself, or number two, stop eating, please call me. Okay, but I feel like I should just rebrand my whole business. That's what I'm feeling right now in this recording. I'm not joking because I'm so like people just don't understand. Okay. if you've been sexually abused or physically abused, you are you feel so unsafe. I don't want to say you are unsafe. You feel so unsafe in your physical body, and food keeps your soul and your body together.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't eat, you don't live. Your physical body doesn't live. So, eating, the experience of anything in your mouth, in your body, touching you is triggering. It's going to be triggering. And then tie in the mother who makes you diet. My mother didn't. I'm not saying that she did. So totally not. But I work with many people who it's like such a high value of them to be skinny and to be ready for shidduchim. And meanwhile, they have this whole inner turmoil of what happened to them. Some know, some don't know. It's so painful. Anyways, so that is a common theme. I feel like I'm just speaking, I'm actually just thinking out loud. Confidence is a common theme as well, but it's its own entity, but it's also tied into, let's say, sexual abuse, right? Because confidence can just be that you don't feel good about yourself, that you feel like you're unworthy, that you feel like nobody likes you, that you feel like maybe nobody likes you because of your body, right? So there's like the one path of like I feel like I don't know why for me it's like when somebody says confidence, it's like nobody likes me. I
Mm-hmm.
know that's not a clinical definition, but I'm just saying what's coming to mind. But then there's like the whole other aspect of like diet culture, which is like nobody likes me because I'm fat. Nobody likes me because I'm not skinny enough. Nobody likes me because I don't eat salad when we go out for lunch. But like there is some
They're
truth,
secretly jealous, by the way.
but there's so much, there's, I don't know what to say. There's so much like based on like a conversation that I just had right before I got on this call. Like there is so much judgment. People really might be judging me
Yeah.
for my weight.
Yeah, they might be. And also, as uncomfortable as it is, a lot of that is their stuff. And I'm not saying like, oh, just deal with it
Sure.
because that's their stuff. It's very, very uncomfortable to be judged, especially when it's explicit, because people
Right.
have that too. And
Yeah.
they like people have actually said things to them.
Right.
But, I think for ourselves, we need to remind ourselves that the judgment coming from other people is purely their stuff. And we need to work on what we feel insecure about. So, say, for example, if you're saying I'm like afraid no one's going to like me or something like that, that can sort of be translated into something like it's a value of mine, it's important to feel accepted, belonging, loved, cared about, things like that, which then gives us a little bit more of an opportunity to get more of what you need as opposed to go the body route. If I shrunk my body, I'll feel more belonging, accepted, etc. Maybe if I worked directly on improving my relationships or just creating more relationships, more meaningful relationships, then I can actually get what I need.
So I don't know how you feel about this, but I really like the concept of like I believe Brie Campos says this about like scapegoating your body, where if if we've been taught slash we continue to tell ourselves like my life will be better. And anyway, I'll have more friends, I'll do better in school, I'll get a boyfriend if I'm skinnier. And we do that, we create that narrative for years and years and years and years. So then whenever anything goes bad, it's like, oh, it's because I'm fat. Oh, it's because I ate that cookie. So we scapegoat our
Mm-hmm.
body, which I happen to talk about a lot in my practice because I think it's so true. I think at least it's true for me. Like I remember when I was like deep in diet culture and like it was just like anything that goes wrong, it's like, ugh, I hate the way I look. I hate the way I eat. Instead of like,
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to get a bad grade on my test. It's really hard to feel the feeling of unworthiness. Like it's so painful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, you know what I mean?
100%. I mean, and that's sort of why this work gets to a place that's really painful for a lot of people. Say, for example, we're talking about someone who has been in this restrictive, maybe restrict binge cycle, and they've been working and they're doing so much better. Then they're at a place where they're like, oh, everybody says I'm doing fine. But internally, I feel like everything is falling apart because it feels so much worse. And that, of course,
Yeah.
that happens
Oh my
because you don't
gosh.
have the thing to
The
just
coping
run
mechanism.
to, whether it's scapegoating your body or the actual restrict binge. you're feeling all the feelings. And the whole point of the eating disorder or the poor relationship with food or whatever the behaviors are was to squash the anxiety, to quiet all that pain. And it was very effective. That's why we used it.
Right.
So, of course, like we're feeling all those big feelings and we're sort of left with it without using food or without scapegoating our body. You just have to experience it, which is so, so painful.
That was so beautifully said.
Thanks.
I literally like wrote that exact chapter in my book this week. I'm not joking. It says how dieting helped me until it didn't. That was the name of the chapter.
I like that.
Yeah. And then why intuitive eating feel what's it called? Triggers more anxiety in the beginning, not less.
Mm-hmm.
Literally because of that. Because I took away your coping mechanism was literally to diet.
Yeah,
If even if you don't, it doesn't work, you're working on shrinking your body, and that's your coping mechanism. And now I took it away from you. It's so painful. It's so hard because now you have to actually feel the feeling of rejection, and you don't want to because you don't know how to. You don't have the pain tolerance.
exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy that people don't know this. You know what I mean? Like I was just saying that somebody asked was asking me a question about what I do, which did not trigger me so much. It could be because I was about to speak to you, but most people don't know what I do. Most people have no idea what I do. My own family doesn't know what I do. They know that I'm a dietitian. They know I do intuitive eating, but they still talk to me about weight loss. So they
Mm-hmm.
obviously don't know to that to but again, I don't I used to hold a lot more pain about it and a lot more I want to say resentment, but like I don't really feel like that anymore because like I said before, if like one of my friends slash siblings was like, I don't know, into math and they had a podcast about math, like I wouldn't listen and I probably would space out when they talked about it. I would. I'm saying eating is different. Everybody eats. Not everybody
Right.
does math, but everybody everybody's so affected by diet culture. But like if like when I see I only heard about intuitive eating when I heard about it, but it could be I heard about it at an earlier time and I just wasn't ready to hear it. So I feel like that's like a big part of my own healing journey and my own what I want to teach about intuitive eating is that like in the beginning, and I think a lot of people go through this in the beginning, it was like, how could you not see what I see? Like,
Yeah.
how could you still be dieting? Like, how could you still be talking like that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But I think part of what is so hard to accept when we're in a specific place is that other people have constructed, this is not really like conscious, but they've constructed their world based on their defenses, based on their past and all of the ways that they've learned to interact with the world, whether they're healthy or not is kind of irrelevant. And it's working for them. So I'm remembering a conversation I just had with a supervisee, and she was talking about somebody who's having this like sort of complicated relationship with food and her husband, but she's sort of like in and out of therapy.
Hmm.
And to a certain extent, for this woman who's highly functional, she's has her job, she has a few kids, she's has all her friends. Sometimes there are moments where she's like, okay, I don't really like how I feel within my relationship. I don't really like how I feel around food, but they're not big enough to push her to actually engage in some of these really uncomfortable and painful thoughts and feelings and turn everything on its head. And a lot of times we have to respect people's defenses. And
Hmm.
so if they're not ready or they're
Right.
not interested, then
Right.
we're not doing anyone a service by shoving it in front of them.
Right. Because I feel like, at least for me, like, and a lot of people that I've spoken to, intuitive eating, when you first hear about it, you get so excited, but then you like, you use the same negative parts of diet culture, meaning like,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you understand, like, the same way that you don't want somebody to comment about I don't want someone to comment on the way that I'm eating. So probably most people don't want people to comment on the way that they're um like parenting their children. Like probably if somebody's
Yeah.
saying to their child, you could only have this cookie if you eat your vegetables, they probably don't want me to be like, that's really bad for your kid.
Yeah.
um like I can't help it. Like I'm making fun of myself, but I can't help it. Like, why did I say that? I probably didn't say that, but I probably was like cringing inside. But that just makes me think I have to take it one step further and be like, when when this person's asking me this question, they're not being mean. They're not disregarding my business and what I talk about. I think like thank you for the free therapy, but I'm saying I do this. I did take a break from my podcast for a long time, by the way. I did. I told
Mhm.
you that. I had to take a break because I was so burnt out. I was so burnt out. I was just so burnt out. This work could burn you out so fast
Yeah.
because it's not like regular therapy nutrition. It's just not. And I'm so passionate about it and I love it and I want to help people have a healthy relationship with food and their body and I want to give them skills. But like it's hard when like what you do is so countercultural and it still is countercultural. That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
Well, even more so now with the GLPs, like, of course.
It's crazy. Do
Yeah.
you see this?
Yeah. And I choose to disengage. Like if you're not,
I
if
just engaged.
if you're we're not on the same wavelength, like it's fine. I
Right.
have a very good friend who's an obesity medicine doctor,
Okay.
and we have
Good
these
for you.
conversations.
Good for you.
We used to have these conversations a lot, and it was very hard for me because she just views the world in a completely different way, and there's no way that she's going to see it or
Yeah.
even just appreciate where I come from. So I was
Right.
like, we can be great friends, and this is the one thing we're just never going to talk about because I'm not interested. It's not my job to change someone's mind who doesn't want to be changed. If you want
Right.
to do this and you're helping people in whatever way, that's
Yeah.
just not. It's not for me to change that. So for the most part, especially when people ask me and they're deliberate about it, I don't know. I just avoid the conversation. I don't think that people's intentions, if someone's truly curious, then I'll talk to them about it. But a
Right.
lot of people, I think, do it in sort of like a baiting kind of way. Well, what do
Yeah.
you think? But like, why do you think that? But like, that's kind of
Right.
wrong. So for
That's
those
kind of
people, I'm like,
wrong. Oh, I love that. Okay. The title of
well,
this
thanks.
podcast is My Best Friend is a Weight Loss Doctor. I'm sorry. It's just like no, but like the fact that you could have that and still have a respectful relationship is like golden. It's like
Yeah,
it's like my life goals. It is my life goals. We could disagree so vividly, so strongly, but we could also appreciate that we come from two totally different places.
yeah, yeah.
And
I mean,
like,
it hasn't been with everyone, and I really attribute a lot of this to my friend because I've definitely lost friends because of political differences that I don't talk about politics. I couldn't like care less to bring that into a relationship. But when someone constantly brings it in and I
right,
have a difference of opinion, I can't tolerate that. I refuse to be shamed and put down and be in an uncomfortable situation time and time again.
right.
So it certainly has been a rift, like it has a capacity to
Yes.
create a rift.
Wow. Yeah.
But
It's important to say that
this is
actually.
all about like mutual respect. And I think when somebody feels, solid enough in their own work, they don't have to bring it to someone else and be like, but prove I'm right, prove I'm
Right.
right. Then
Right.
I think it could work.
Well, that goes back to confidence, I think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. If you're not confident in what you're saying and what you're standing up for, you need the validation from other people, then yeah, you're gonna try to bait the person or to bring it up or whatever it is. It's going to be really intolerable to have somebody in the room disagreeing with you. And even if they're not saying, even if it's not part of the conversation, on principle they disagree with you. It's going to be really hard to tolerate that.
I think that's really important for people to hear because I want to go back to something that you said that was really important. And I hope that if people get nothing from this conversation, they get this. There's other people's stuff. Meaning, if
Yeah,
somebody baits you to have a conversation because they need you to agree with them and it's making you really uncomfortable, that's not your stuff.
exactly. And you can remove yourself from the situation. I'm not saying that it doesn't impact you because, of course, it's
Right.
really hurtful when people say
Right.
these things.
It's really hurtful. It is. And especially if you're like, I'm very sensitive. I'm extremely sensitive. I don't want to say I'm working on it. It's a good thing to be sensitive. I'm saying to tolerate the feeling. I'm working on tolerating the feeling when somebody says something that hurts my feelings. But yeah, it hurts. It really does.
Yeah. One thing I think that's really important about confidence is that, and everyone has to define what confidence means to them and what
Right.
they think it's
Right.
going to look like and what they want it to look like. But ultimately, I like to see it as a moving target. So it's not just, okay, I'm working toward confidence. And then once I get the confidence, then I'm a confident person. And
Right.
before I get there, I am not a confident person. Where it's really just about, well, not just about, it's there are different pieces to it. I do this thing, I do it well, I feel confident about this thing, but then there's a new thing that happens. I become a parent, I start a podcast, I start a business, I start a new job, whatever
Right.
it might be. And all of a sudden, I don't feel that confident anymore, or it's not going the way that I want. Things took a dip. It's, just sort of like, okay, now how do I strengthen myself and work in small increments toward a version of myself that feels a lot more, I like to use the word resilient instead of confident. It's not so cocky sounding. To me, confidence sounds like the charismatic person, which is not really what it feels like on the inside. And confidence is just sort of like, I feel solid on my own 2 feet.
Okay.
So, breaking it down to work toward that version of yourself, but it's not like I'm confident or not confident.
Right. That's interesting. I tell clients a lot that I really like the book Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown, where she like defines all these different feelings.
Hmm.
Did you read it?
No,
Okay.
I like
It's
Brene Brown.
it's a little bit boring. And like I've gotten that feedback from people like, oh, it's kind of boring. It's kind of boring because she's going through like 80 different definitions of feelings, like jealousy versus envy. But I do think there's something to be said about when you could label a feeling and feel really seen and heard, that it does decrease the anxiety around it. So like I hear what you're saying, that like confidence, I happen to think the debate between like confidence and arrogance is an important thing to define and think about, because confidence and you could be confident and totally not arrogant. If you're arrogant, usually
Mm-hmm.
you're not confident, so you're
Right.
overcompensating. No?
Right. But also on a little bit more of a layered level, somebody who's more of an introvert, somebody who's never going to get on a stage and be this charismatic person, they're just
Yeah.
more quiet. It's not that they will never feel confident, meaning like
Right.
they can build confidence. It doesn't have to look like I seem charismatic to the rest of the world. And that's why I encourage people
Right.
to think about, one of the journal prompts actually in the book is imagine waking up confident, what's different? What does it actually mean to you in your life? Because it's kind of irrelevant what it looks like to me if that's different for you.
Right. I mean, I think that's where we get that's more like the cultural definition of confidence, which is when you say the word confident, you think of like the tall, dark, handsome man on the stage. Everybody laughed. But they do say, I did read this in a book and I can't remember which book. I think it's a book about introverts and extroverts. I can't remember what it's called. Okay, so hopefully I'll remember. But it's like the best speakers and the ones who get on the stage are actually introverts. So yeah, I've read this in a bunch of books that the introvert is actually the better like speaker. So like meaning like when you
Mm,
think of like maybe the confident person, it's like the extrovert, the loud person working the stage, but like that's not what research shows. So like I'm just saying when you say the word confidence, it elicits a certain feeling about a person. But
yeah.
like it could you're saying resilience is more like maybe neutral to positive than confidence, which maybe has like this arrogant connotation.
Yeah, it also just redefines what it looks like. And obviously this is different for each individual, but confidence in my mind is more so about feeling steady and sure about yourself. The resilience that it takes to be able to experience criticism or failure or things not going well and still be like, this is not my worth. And I'm still going to continue because failure and criticism is part of life and I'm going to keep going. So it's more so this internal experience of strength, resilience, sureness, for lack of a better term. My client just told me that yesterday and she's like, is that a word? I'm like, it is now.
Yeah, sure.
Um, this internal experience rather than what it looks like on the outside.
Right. Confidence is internal, not external. but we think of
Totally.
confidence as, can I see it? Kind of similar to like,
Right.
oh, that person's skinny, so she's healthy.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is totally not.
Of course,
Yeah.
obviously. I mean, obviously, I'm saying it as obviously, but like I said before, I'm not skinny and I exercise every day and I eat nutritiously and I go to the therapist and I take care of myself and I engage in healthy behaviors. Somebody looking at me might be like, oh, she's overweight.
Hmm.
Sorry. I'm in one of those ones. Okay, this has been amazing. We both have to go. We both have clients. We got to get going.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to put all
Thank you
your
for
information
having
in the
me.
show notes, and you also have a podcast,
Okay.
and we're doing good work. Let's just tell ourselves that we're doing good
We're
work.
doing amazing work.
People are
It might
getting
not be where you want it to be. It might not meet your expectations, but it's amazing. By the way, just like last last licks here, think about where you were in 2018, even like where we both were, like sort of
right,
scrambling in 2018, and
right,
how far you've come. This is also another exercise in the book. Think about that and think about how much stronger, bigger, whatever it is you are, and all the wins that you've had until now. You're killing it. You might not be where you want, like in terms of the future, but in
right.
terms of the past, look what you, I mean, you have this podcast, you have this practice, you have this business, you've helped all these people, you have 5 kids. Like there's
Yeah,
so
right.
much that you've done.
Right. I'll just say one more thing that I just recently was meeting with someone and she was exuding confidence. She was like such a good mood and she had all these ideas and she was so in flow. And I was like, do you remember where you were last week? Like, and I was the bird's eye view for her. Like, as my therapist says, like, let's zoom out. And I was like, hello. Like, and she's like, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm like, you walked into me with like this confidence that I could visually see, but you don't remember last week when you walked in all down. And like it was like that's empowering to me
Mm-hmm.
as a person. Like we could do this, like we could change, we could shift.
Yeah,
Things go up, things go down, and we're okay, you know? Okay. Thank you
totally.
so much for coming
Exactly.
on. This was amazing.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Thank you
Thank you.
for the free therapy for everybody.
Ha.
Okay,
All right. We'll talk soon.
okay, bye.
Bye.